Hello everyone and welcome back to another Alpha X replay cast right here on Alpha X's YouTube page. This is a replay cast from the OlimoLeague Invitational #1 race war between these two players. Spawning in the bottom left is our blue Terran player for the Shopify Rebellion. This is BYUN. And spawning in the top right, his opponent, our red Zerg player for Alpha X. This is RAGNAROK. Now this is a special event here, something that was hosted up by the OlimoLeague. It was a race war invitational. Essentially, they brought in a member of each race, one Terran, one Protoss, one Zerg, RAGNAROK, BYUN, and Zest. And they played a nice little show match here where everything was off of 7 games played. So one map, or one time on each map from the entire map pool. So you're going to see best of 7 down here in the bottom on the scoreboard, but it's not a best of 7. It is a total of 7. So we're going to get to see 7 maps played between these two players. It should be a lot of fun. Of course, both players rather relevant in the StarCraft 2 scene right now. RAGNAROK playing for Alpha X, a very stalwart, confident Zerg player. He's had some pretty decent showings at GSL over the last couple of years. And of course, we're so happy to have him a part of Team Alpha X. Represents us in Korea very, very well. But of course, we also have the blue Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion, BYUN, the BlizzCon champion, showcasing many, many different styles of play, but most importantly, his ability to micro, the micro god himself. And I imagine that some of that's going to be on display today here as we get into 2,000 atmospheres for our first of 7 maps. Imagine we're going to see an interesting type of a play here. Since it is not a super competitive series, I mean, there's not a whole lot on the line. I mean, there's money on the line. It's about $24 per map. So it's a pretty decent chunk of change here to come away. And I mean, really, every map does make a difference. Of course, our players do like getting paid. BYUN is going to open up with a pretty standard BYUN build to begin with. He has himself a nice little 3 barracks opening here, and that is going to immediately get spotted. And the banter has begun. This is kind of an interesting little difference that we've seen from the Korean players in different events. Not of course, not the GSL events, but we've seen different Alpha X events, into the Alpha X, the OlimoLeague event right here, where the players do have a little bit of banter going back and forth, and we're going to get a nice taste of everything here. Big shout out to Crank, who was a part of this live event, and will be doing a lot of great translating for us as things go along here. Now, BYUN's going to open up here with his nice little 3 racks. Back behind this, RAGNAROK is going to try and prevent disaster from unfolding. He does throw down a Baneling nest rather quickly, and it will use these lings to try and mitigate the push response by BYUN, as RAGNAROK knows that he's on a little bit of a timer here, looking to try and secure the win in this first map. Now, BYUN's going to be able to come across the map with this large amount of Marines, but it comes at a little bit of a cost here. Of course, it's just 3 barracks. There's no factory. There's no starport. So that means there is nothing to repair this army. Oh, this is actually kind of a tense moment here. BYUN is going to start working forward. Okay, he is going to see the lings and the Banelings, and most importantly, oh, if those Banelings would have accidentally connected with those Marines, that would have been just a wild connection. It would have shut everything down, but even still, BYUN is going to get backed into a corner here. These Banelings slowly waddling their way forward, but the Banelings have nowhere left to run. They are going to finally connect, but I feel as if BYUN made the most of this. He's actually asking for the pause. It's a joke, of course. But RAGNAROK says no. He smells blood in the water and wants to push on forward. So he's going to pick off this supply depot wall at the front. Essentially, though, that does buy time for BYUN. I mean, BYUN's in an okay spot. He does have a fair number of Marines, but can he deal with the number of Banelings coming up here? Banelings are going to be able to take down the wall, and the workers have been pulled off of the line. There are a few Banelings left, but as that bunker gets finished up, this is ultimately going to turn into a tricky situation here for BYUN. He does have a fair number of units, though. 15 Marines, especially Marines that can protect a ramp. That is always going to be a good spot. But look at RAGNAROK here. RAGNAROK's got his 3 bases. He's going to deny that second base. Keeps poking up towards the top of that ramp just to see what still exists and lives there in case BYUN is trying to pivot into something a little bit different. But instead, it seems as if BYUN is just going to keep cranking out those Marines. He's going to be able to follow this up with medevacs, though, and that's going to change the scope of this follow-up push. Having those medevacs means that BYUN's going to be able to stim. Once stim is done, I mean, this army, despite being large and scary, it's not going to have the same kind of damage potential. So, yeah, RAGNAROK's going to have to back off, at least for now. We will see these Marines start pushing out and onto the map. What do we have going on back here for RAGNAROK? He has a worker advantage, but not by a lot. I mean, look at this. At the highest point of his income advantage, he just didn't have more than 900 resources mining per minute extra. So despite the disparity here, I don't know. BYUN has made a lot happen with little in the past, and it seems like that's what he wants to try and do here with these 2 medevacs. We're going to have to keep an eye on these for right now. But BYUN commenting right now, like, wait a minute, why are you on 4 base? I only have 2. Oh. It's going to be Hydraling Bane on the back side of this. RAGNAROK can hold this down. I mean, he's in a relatively good spot. He just has to make sure not to overcommit on any one of these pushes. Centrifugal Hook's on the way, so Baneling speed will be a part of the defense here. But his 4 base is a bit too much. Should he be reinvesting that into more Lings and Banelings? Not entirely sure here. That tank is going to get a giant shot off onto Banelings to begin with, and already this is a great position for BYUN. Look at the army supplies, 65 to 44. This is slowly unraveling. He's calling for mute as RAGNAROK trying to get BYUN to blink here, but BYUN is kind of all in this moment. I mean, there's still no 3rd base back behind this. He's going to start working away on the 3rd base. The 4th base was canceled. It's just unit production. Although now here does finally come the command center. It is about halfway done. Oh, that one tank trying to get a little bit of a surround here on the blue Terran, but Tank's going to be able to spot that and does deliver some damage. I mean, it just constantly finding those Banelings is such huge damage here. Groove Spine's finished up, but now RAGNAROK's still waiting for the speed upgrade on the Hydras. I mean, kind of an interesting choice. I guess since the Hydras are in defense mode, they necessarily don't need to be able to move fast just to be able to attack, essentially. But that means RAGNAROK's not going to be able to position himself. He has Lings and Banes on the opposite side of the map, but there is a tank back at home that will essentially keep that protected alongside the bio units that are already there. And BYUN is just continuing to ram the unit production down his bases. 107 to 81. think now BYUN's going to try and push on forward here. What does Ragnarok have? He does still have these units out on the map, but there's just really not a whole lot he can do. It's going to be a slow push here. Additional Liberators making this a very difficult position to try and hold, so he has to evacuate in its entirety. This base is going to go down, and Ragnarok can't afford to lose his 4th base. Not at this point. He did get all of the workers out, so that's a small consolation, but it's just that. It's a consolation prize. So now BYUN's going to rotate around. He actually finds a better position to try and siege from, utilizing those rocks to keep things under wraps. But here comes the units on the left and the top-hand side. Will these tanks be able to hold things down? The tanks on the right-hand side do end up holding, but the banelings don't find enough to connect with on the left side of the engagement. They come down the ramp, but they aren't going to get enough here. And Liberators still exist. The tank on the top is allowed to survive. And BYUN wraps up game number 1 in this 7 games played series. Map number 2 brings us here to a new map in the pool, at least for most of the world. GSL did get this map into their most recent season. This is Oblivion. And I believe this was also a submission for the Team Liquid map contest as well, but it's a very pretty map. Something that is kind of unique. It does have this nice little divide down the center. We've got the greenery on one side. We have the cold mountain on the opposite side. And that's where we're going to find ourselves for game number 2. Now, there has been a bit of banter going on in the first stretch of this game, and it's mostly just been Ragnarok telling BYUN, it's like, well, we got to show some mech for the fans here, and I think they're having just a little bit of a good time doing that. So ultimately, oh no, this poor Overlord is caught out in the middle of nowhere. Is he gonna escape to high ground? Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think it has time to get to that pillar, at least not that direction. Oh, it is. Let's go. Get there. Safety. What do we have going here? BYUN's going to run the same build. It's the same thing. Okay, we've got 7 games. BYUN, if we see the same 3 racks opener here for every single game, I mean, we're gonna have problems. Well, I mean, we won't have problems. Ragnarok's going to have problems. Unless Ragnarok gets really comfortable deflecting this. But it's a very difficult build, especially against somebody with the micro potential of BYUN. So Ragnarok's going to do his normal bit of scouting here. He's got Overlords running down some of the larger attack paths here on this map. And this is going to also have an engineering bay back behind it this time. So it is going to be slightly different. Ragnarok's going to come in here. He did grab Nubatized Carapace, I believe. Yeah, that Overlord is super speedy. So he is going to see only 1 barracks, but I mean, you've got to look at the number of Marines here, and especially with how hard they are protecting that main from information. You have to imagine that it's going to be the same thing. But I think the biggest difference here is going to be that +1 addition here. Although Ragnarok's misreading it, he thinks it's a 2-1-1. Oh, no. Oh, no, Ragnarok. Okay, so we're going to have some deviations here on both sides. Oh, Ragnarok's going to be able to get in a little bit quicker here. What will he actually spot? He's just going to see more Marines. Oh, BYUN is just denying all of this information as hard as he possibly can here. So, on 3 base economy, well, not economy, on 3 bases at this point. Slowly starting to populate this 3rd base, but now the Zerglings are going to start popping out. Seeing that many Marines means that he needs to start thinking about a potential defense here. Going to start working down on the rocks. Metabolic Boost does finish up, and he's going to get +1 Carapace. Okay, interesting choice here. It's not a terrible one, especially against the large damage potential of these Marines. The boys have been pulled. The boys have been pulled. Okay. Boys officially pulled. Boys are back in town. Across the way. Is RAGNAROK going to have banelings here? He's just going to start getting this finished up here. So now this is going to be a tight contention. The worker's going to try and body block for the units here, but they're really just body blocking Queens at this point, and Queens are always just going to shoot right over top of their head, but here come the banelings. The banelings are going to be able to get finished up here. On creep, they are going to be effective, but look how good BYUN's micro is. He is going to pick off the evolution chamber, and that upgrade is not going to be allowed to finish. The banelings are not finding their marks. Oh, BYUN. Is BYUN going to be able to clean this all off? Because he still has 2 of these Marines. Look at the damage. Almost 3,000 minerals lost to the 1850 of BYUN. RAGNAROK has been able to clean up workers, though. So, admittedly, not a terrible spot for him to be in at that moment. It's 46 to 35, but again, I mean, you're up against +1 Marines. You're up against a player who, again, is just going to run this just back and forth and back and forth. But on the downside for RAGNAROK, he loses all of his queens, so that means there's no injects. That means it's 450 minerals just to try and get himself back on the map for production value. Look at that income advantage, though. It is okay for him for now. But back behind this, we do have +1 infantry armor. It is completely walled off back at home, so I think RAGNAROK would have a difficult time trying to get in to deal additional damage, especially just Lingbane alone. RAGNAROK finally gets his full scout off. He will see that there has been a factory and a starport drop down behind this, so there will be tanks, there will be medevacs. And with +1 infantry armor, this still ends up being a pretty decent timing. Especially when RAGNAROK doesn't even have a full 3-base saturation. He's spent a lot of time trying to rebuild his production, and that's come at the cost of his economy. It's come at the cost of preparation for this follow-up push here. Oh, and this is actually kind of a tight little choke here. Okay, depends on the wraparound here, but tanks, again, gonna find banelings. 4 banelings immediately just picked off. Man, BYUN's tanks just have heat-seeking missiles. It's ridiculous. So this is actually a really nice choke to try and hold here if you are BYUN. Now, RAGNAROK was gonna try and get on the opposite side of the map here and overwhelm his opponent back at home, but BYUN does get a good stop on that. He encounters it as he's trying to reposition. 4th base going to come down here for RAGNAROK. The +1 Carapace still on the way in the back ranks, but again, there's just not a whole lot of transition happening. It's 1 gas in the main, 1 gas in the natural, 2 gases out front. So I think RAGNAROK may be trying to get BYUN to blink here and see a transition that might not actually be happening. But I feel as if, I mean, BYUN's in a good position. What are you going to throw at BYUN that might catch him off guard? I'm not sure that anything exists right now. But there's going to be additional Marines coming across. Liberators getting added into the mix as well. So finding a way to run the gamut on protection here is going to be really important. Nice little drop picks off the base in the top left. And I think that's probably just going to pick up and leave, right? Yeah, he grabs everything. Grabs every unit. BYUN, your micro control is just so strong. I'm going to pick off a couple of Overlords for free. Hey, Hydrilling Bane going to be the choice once again. We didn't see a whole lot come out of this in game number 1, but you know, perhaps game number 2 might be a little bit better. Scout is going to see the advancing tech. You will see the Liberators get added into the mix. We're going to see group spawns once again. choosing the unorthodox path here. And that's going to be a lot of tanks. This is a good siege location. So now, once again, this becomes a very contestable point. Immediately, the tanks are going to get sieged up. Liberators are going to go down. And this becomes an increasingly difficult moment. It's going to clean up all this creep. Wow, that scan took care of so many creep tumors. And he's got a good position here. He's going to be able to bring in the additional drop for some assistance. And this is going to be a big push moment here. The Liberators are going to be able to start snapping away at those queens, but the Ling and Bane tries to push on forward, mostly getting the bio too. Ragnarok is sacrificing a lot. He does grab all of the tanks. The Liberators are still alive in the back, so there is still a bit to try and retreat to for BYUN. And now there isn't a whole lot here on the ground to protect the Hydras and the Queens. Hydras and Queens, pretty good, but if they don't have Ling Bane to help body block for them, they suddenly become very vulnerable targets to the Zerg player. There's still a sizable amount of bio here to try and work things back. If BYUN can push Ragnarok further backwards into his third base, just owning this space would become a very valuable moment. Taking on the rocks is going to help, but it's still a pretty sizable choke for the Terran player to try and play into. Now, +1 melee is going to finish up here. Muscular augments also coming in for the Hydra upgrade path. Yeah, this is it. And this is what I was talking about here. Liberators are going to start owning the bulk of this space, now making it really difficult for Hydras and Queens to maneuver appropriately. But here comes the secondary push. Banelings are going to roll on forward, but once they're off creep, they do become less of a powerful force to reckon with, and tanks will start working away here. This tank has 18 kills. He's going to drop a mule to try and repair this Liberator, but the Liberator's not going to survive, so that leaves one left. But it's on high ground. That's going to be really difficult to find, and BYUN is pushed forward. He has wrangled control away from the blue Zerg player, and he goes up 2-0 in this 7 maps played series. Game number 3 brings us to Juggernaut here in this 7 map series, and Ragnarok has decided he is on. He is going to turn on the aggression, and he's going to do that with a spawning pool here first. Now, Juggernaut is a pretty strong Zerg map, but is it going to be strong against his opponent? And BYUN is going to continue his interesting build orders here, but he's instead going to lean back onto playstyles that have won him championships. And that is going to be 3 racks opening here. Now, it does look like it's going to be Reapers that come out. And on this particular map, this could be a very fun way to see that 3 racks Reaper. We're used to seeing that proxied out onto the map, so like about right here, about right here. But no, it's just going to be back at home. And this is pretty much a hard counter to Ragnarok's opening aggression. He's going to do everything in his power to try and avoid his opponent. But what he doesn't realize is that BYUN is already coming across the map with early Reapers. He has 2 gases already secured. And now it's already going to go south here for Ragnarok. This is frustrating, right? So all those Lings are going to get picked off here, and now there's going to be 3 Reapers out on the map that are going to start producing some interesting situations. The Roach Warren's going to go down. So early pool into an early Roach Warren. Just both of these players once again having a little bit of banter back and forth. BYUN's not going to undercommit here, especially since Ling speed is now finished up. That means that these Reapers are not going to find as much damage, but look at how much they do get done. They're going to be able to pick off a Queen. I mean, it was great KD8 charges, just keeping that Queen pinned back. Brenda, no! 2 Reapers for the cost of 13 Lings and a Queen. If you're BYUN, you gotta be feeling really good about that. But Roaches are now out. Roaches might do a little bit better against these Reapers, but you know, I'm just infinitely worried. Anytime you see BYUN with Reapers, this becomes a crazy situation here. Now, RAGNAROK is going to tell him the Roaches are on the way. BYUN, he's not heeding the call. He's just going to come across the map here and see, like, wait a minute, huh? What? Wait, you actually have Roaches? Wait a minute. He's even going to say, wow, it was real. Okay, so this is a sizable moment here for RAGNAROK. He's got a bit of an advantage, but now we're gonna have to see how good the micro is with these Roaches. Half the army has been segmented off, and that means all of these Roaches are gonna be able to get picked away one at a time. But here comes the Ling swell. The wall is broken down. BYUN is supply blocked. That means these Reapers are the last bastion of hope here for the blue Terran player. Will he be able to secure these? The Reapers are going to be able to get into the back corner, and that is going to open up a little bit of damage potential here against these SCVs, but the SCVs have been trained in the art of warfare by BYUN himself, and they will bring their drills into battle. I cannot believe that there are still Reapers alive. There's 3 Reapers alive. Now there's additional ones in production here, but all in all, this is a great position for BYUN. Look at this. BYUN still has a worker lead. And somehow RAGNAROK loses more than BYUN, despite BYUN losing 15 workers as a result of this. He had so many workers available at his disposal, and now this just, this just equalizes? I mean, you're kidding me, right? BYUN's like, did I win? Is it GG time? Oh, the micro god himself is gonna be able to get the starport. RAGNAROK wants to know how many SCVs exist. BYUN says 64. Oh, I mean, this equalizes. Both of these players are going to just even out, and yeah, RAGNAROK goes out for his 3rd base location here. Oh, this is just a beyond silly moment for both of our players. There's still a sizable amount of Reapers here. What's actually going to come across in this position? It's 4 Reapers against 4 Lings and 3 Queens. Or as BYUN would call it, a fair fight. Okay, the Ling count's a little bit stronger here. BYUN's not going to be able to just blindly jump into the main anymore. So now, as a result of this, RAGNAROK's going to be able to throw down his lair. He will start making a transition. Going into that +1 carapace, I think, is still the right choice, especially if BYUN is going to continue rocking Reapers out on the map. Gives them a little bit more stability. Stimpback is on the way, though, so it's not going to be Reapers all day long. And look at this. We do have the Tech Lab finishing up Banshee Cloak. We already have 1 Banshee out and headed to the opposite side of the map. I mean, is RAGNAROK going to be able to protect against this? He will have a Queen. But there's no detection. And the upgrade's finished now, so yeah, this is going to go from bad to worse here. Also, I'm not addressing too much of the banter. I know that you guys can read the banter, so hopefully you do enjoy it. I could probably spend the entire game reacting to what the players are saying, but I would just let you guys enjoy that as I talk about what's happening on the screen. Banshee is going to get so many kills. 10. Ah! Where's the detection? There's no detection. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so what? 13, 14, 15. Yeah, he's going to stay. He's going to stay as long as possible. He gets 16 kills. Yes, he lost the Banshee. But one Banshee for 16 workers? I don't think there's a scenario where you don't take that exchange for BYUN. You're going to feel pretty confident about that every single time. And the second Banshee already has 2 kills. Amazing. Roach Ravager, going to be the pick of choice here. Now, I feel like BYUN showed a possible situation of Battle Mech, but that's certainly not the case here. There's a pretty decent amount of bio. Stimpack has already been finished up, and Combat Shield is on the way, so these Marines are going to have a lot of staying power. What they do lack, though, is the upgrade path. No +1 infantry weapons, no +1 armor. So that's where Ragnarok is going to have a little bit of an advantage. But I think BYUN is just going to counteract that by building more Marines. Why make the Marines you have better when you could just build more Marines? I mean, that makes sense, right? Now, Ragnarok does have a good look here at the third base location. We are wrapping into the 10-minute mark. I mean, this is probably the latest third command center we've seen in a while from BYUN. I guess there are games where it's like, oh, I'm just going to 2-base you. Like, I'll never build a third base. And then it's like, Rushi, that base never came in, so what's later than never? And that's the moment where I'm going to ask you to go, like, sit in the corner and think about what you've said. Think about what you've done. Infestation Pit is up and morphing in as well. It's about 75% done. So we do have a potential transition here. But what does Ragnarok want to go for? He doesn't really have an economic advantage. And really both players have played pretty close to the same. So it's sharp ups and downs, but look at those numbers. 600 is the most advantage that either player has had at this point. Do we have an armory coming down here for BYUN? BYUN going to try now to get into those upgrades. He does have 1-1 on the way. Going to try and add +1 attack to those tanks as well. BYUN's going to be able to scan the top left-hand corner and does see that the 4th base is incoming, and we're going to get infestors. All right, the infestation pit going to give us a little bit of burrow action here from the infestors. Looks like tunneling claws are coming in for Ragnarok as well, and burrow being researched as a base set on top of it. So +1 missile attack also finishing up. The Roach Ravager is going to get a little bit stronger here. He's going to add Hydras. Ragnarok, I don't know if there's an award for getting every piece of tech that you can get in the mid game, but if there is, I mean, you're going to win it. You're absolutely going to win that prize. Concussive shells on the way as well. So nice little response here to the large Roach Ravager count. BYUN's got a sizable army though, 124 to 91. That's a lot of incoming damage, especially when Ragnarok is taking little bits and pieces here from the 16 Marine hit squad. Okay, Ragnarok going to send roaches out across the map. This could find a decent amount of damage. There's really nothing back at home, but does he have enough to stop this push here in the top left-hand corner? BYUN does not want this base to exist anymore. The tanks are up on the high ground. That is a scary precipice to try and play from. Roaches are going to be stopped by the reinforcements coming out of the natural, but the roaches in the third base are going to find a little bit more success here for a period of time. Missile turret's going to be able to spot for that, but again, this is where the damage is going to exist. There is a potential for fungal growths here for infestors with enough energy to be able to deal with this, but right now doesn't feel confident attacking up that ramp. There's really no high ground vision, especially none anymore now that those roaches on the bottom side are not available, but this is going to be a push that comes down. The first Fungal Growth does only go down on a few of those units. It feels like BYUN is just trying to bait those out. He knows that with the Fungal Growth gone, that means this is a much easier position to push into. And he actually already gets an army up on the left-hand side. That's going to be a much better Fungal Growth that will clean up these units. It's not efficient Fungal Growth, but BYUN still trying to make the most of this. Ragnarok does have an equalized army count, but here comes BYUN. He's going to push on forward. Much better Fungals this time around. The Biles are not going to connect with everything that they need, though, and BYUN is able to stabilize here. He's going to be able to push on forward. There's nothing to protect these infestors. The infestors are going to go down. Another Fungal Growth goes down on this army, just trying to burn those units as quickly as he possibly can. But I think BYUN is going to be able to push down the third base, and he pushes down Ragnarok in game number 3 here. 3-0 is the current score. Is Ragnarok going to be able to take a point here in this 7-game series? We're going to have to find out as we get into game number 4. Game number 4 brings us to Blackburn LE here, as Ragnarok is trying to find any possible way that he can get into this series and snag a point. Now, just as a reminder, it does say best of 7 down here in the bottom, but this is a special event. This is a 7 maps played event, so BYUN could possibly take this entire series 7-0. If BYUN wins game number 4 here, we won't be done. We will get all 7 games, which is great for us, the viewers, because that means we got a lot of StarCraft to cover here still. But it couldn't be possibly not great for Ragnarok, as he's begging his opponent, please let me win. Let me win. BYUN says today's Ragnarok is the best Ragnarok I have ever seen. Ragnarok's like, are you kidding me? Dude, what do you mean? But of course, it's a nice little bit of banter back and forth. Ragnarok does go for the early pool here, but is going to double expand back behind it. So Ragnarok trying to find any sort of way to get ahead in this this 7-map series. I'm going to actually run 2-1-1 this time around. Okay, interesting. So we've seen BYUN at least, well, he hasn't brought interesting builds every single time. I guess technically they've all been different. Game number 1 was 3 racks. Game number 2 was a 3 racks with +1. Game number 3 was 3 racks Reaper. And now game number 4, we're going to go into 2-1-1. BYUN showing us his depth of TVZ. We're going to have to see how Ragnarok chooses to respond. He has gotten up into 3-base economy a couple of times here, only to struggle to respond and react to his opponent. But yeah, this is going to be a more quickly dedicated 2-1-1. We already see Stim Pack in the research tab. Additional units getting brought in as a result. So now the starport's going to start coming in. Oh, and I love how BYUN is selling this. BYUN showing a lot of Marines here to Ragnarok to give him the indication, hey, this is going to be a pretty common build you've seen out of me. When in reality, it's going to have a little bit more punch to it, mostly because it's going to come with Medivacs. So the factor's going to rotate. We're going to start seeing BYUN get into his push potential here. He'll have a decent amount of Marines. Should have, like, what? Between 16 and 20? I think 20 might be the magic number here. Oh, I pressed play. Sorry. $17. Yeah, there's the last 3 coming, so 20 is going to be good enough. Combat shields on the way, but it's slow lanes. Oh, the upgrade has been so long. It was a gasless opening, and that ends up being a much more difficult position to try and play into, especially if you're going to have stimmed Marines that will constantly be able to go back and forth. And they get picked up, they get healed. This is a much more difficult situation for Ragnarok than he otherwise would have guessed here. But Metabolic Boost is going to be able to finish up in just a moment. It is going to allow BYUN the opportunity to rotate. Now we will see speed pick up here. And I think BYUN is going to be, for the most part, held off at this point. The question is going to be whether or not we see the third base go down anytime soon, or if it's just going to be additional unit production on the back side of this. So BYUN still currently streaming those units across. He is getting additional tanks added into the mix. It's still just Marines at this point. Stutter step forward here and grab a queen and a majority of those creep tumors as well. Off of creep though, those Baneling or those Zerglings have to be careful. Baneling support's not quite here just yet. Baneling speed's about halfway done, and now we do see Banelings morphing in. Queens are doing an okay job, but it's just okay. However, Ragnarok has the economy he needs right now. He's on 4 gas. No gas is up in the main right now. Again, a little bit of mind games for his opponent. Anything to try and upset BYUN's flow in game number 4. Oh, drone's going to go to the top right-hand corner to try and get a 4th base down, but BYUN able to jump up there and deny that for the time being. So Ragnarok's going to have to be a bit more dedicated if he wants to get a base in the top right. We do finally see the command center for BYUN. It is about halfway done, so a third base will be on the way. Aspire, the tech path choice of the red Zerg player. Oh, but this is actually going to start looking really scary here. Ragnarok is going to have to find a way to deal with this. This is a really, really tough choke for Zerg players to defend. Tanks on the low ground. Yes, they're inside of the slow zone. The tanks don't need to move at this point. They just need to fire, and their attack speed is not slowed down, so they will be able to fire from the ground. Zerglings and Banelings will have a difficult time trying to get in here, especially with the Marines lingering down on the low ground. All these tanks need is to try and bait these units forward, and the tanks will take care of the rest. How are we doing on the Spire timing here? Spire is about 3/4 of the way done. Additional Marines going to get brought up to the high ground. There is the scouting information out at the third base location, so Ragnarok knows that BYUN is still delaying his economic growth at this point. So right now, able to take a better situation, especially with getting the base in the top right corner situated. There's going to be additional units coming out here. This Zergling is going to see that orbital command. Oh, unfortunate he didn't get a block off on this, but this is such a punishing position. That one medevac is so low. I don't even know that that's going to be able to be a part of an adequate fight coming in here. The mutas are finally out. Mutas are possibly going to try and wrap around here, but it seems like they are just going to go to the opposite side of the map. I don't think there's a whole lot that the mutas can do against this push, so it's just largely stemming the flow of the tide right now. There's a Liberator, though, in the top right. That's going to cause some problems, but here come the mutas. Mutas are going to be able to get into the main base, and there is no protection here. There's a couple of Marines, but that's not going to make a big difference here. Additional units do get picked off here on the top side of the main. A little bit of back and forth between Ragnarok and BYUN, but the mutas are finally finding some damage here. They do pick off 7 workers. 7 drones have gone down as a result as well. There are additional workers going down. It's the Liberator in the third base location. 14 in total. There is an engineering bay, though, that is starting to burn down. surely BYUN's going to repair that. Okay, tank going to continue providing shell fire here. This engineering bay is not being repaired. This is a +2 infantry attack. This would be a bad piece of technology to lose here. We're going to keep an eye on it here. It is continuing to go down. BYUN, he doesn't know. He's so focused on this attack here, and RAGNAROK's going to force the issue. He is going to snap on top of the army on the high ground. Oh, +2 is going to be denied unless he stops it right now. I don't think he will. It does go down, so infantry weapons 2 has been denied at this point. And in the slow field, those mutas are not going to find the damage they need to. In fact, they need to run away, but those Marines will kill so many. In total, 10 have gone down at this point. How many are left? There's only 10 left on the map. So now BYUN's going to rescue all of his units from that siege location. And this looks to be a scary push here. 97 army supply and climbing to RAGNAROK 72. Good scans will be able to clear up some of the creep, which means these Ling Bane forces are not going to be nearly as effective. He does have the base up into the top right. BYUN trying to harass that. The mutas will be able to clean that up. But again, I don't think the drops are going to be the scary part of the army to deal with here. It will be this overwhelming force at the alternate third location. Now, will mutas be able to find damage onto the reinforcements? No, quite the opposite. They're immediately going to fly away. They don't want to try and deal with BYUN's Marines. Those Marines have all trained in the art of warfare. Okay, +2 Carapace just about to finish up, and this is going to be probably a moment here where RAGNAROK can try and push forward and overwhelm his opponent. Does he have enough to deal with this, though? The tank spread is rather confident. Tanks are going to come on forward. They find Banelings immediately, and now Banelings off of creep are going to have to try and find their targets. Great stutter step, great splits here. BYUN is able to hold the stem of the tide, and he's just going to be able to stem on forward. He doesn't need tanks at this point when there are no Banelings to contest with, and suddenly 1-1 Marines are going to get the job done. The target fire, insanely strong. Getting on top of as many Banelings as they possibly can. Banelings will not connect with enough here, and it seems like BYUN has done it. He's going to pick off the remainder of these mutas. Reinforcements are not going to be enough. 10 workers have gone down, and BYUN makes this a 4-0 map score. All 7 games get played, so we will go on to game number 5. Can RAGNAROK steal a point away from the Blue Terran? We'll have to find out. Game number 5 brings us to Romanticide. BYUN currently up 4-0 in this 7 games played series. Is RAGNAROK going to be able to secure a win? BYUN is going to try and make it so that he never does in this 7-game series. He's going to open up with a 2-Rax proxy. And on Romanticide, this is kind of one of those weird, interesting locations to do that from. I mean, it's an easy scout path to get to, so there is a possibility RAGNAROK does spot this. It looks like he's headed in the right direction. But, I mean, you drop the barracks here, and now the minerals, the mineral wall here with 2 of those workers, we'll be able to just push on forward and now create a really quick direct pathway. Okay, he is just going to see that. Actually just barely sees the Marine, but now we'll see the barracks come down. And so many of the workers have been pulled. It's basically like, what, 10? No, he pulled 13. He pulled 13 of his workers here to deal with this. I think this is a nice metered response because in small amounts, these Marines are not going to be able to trade out. This is a drone fight for the century. Okay, drones are going to be able to overwhelm this bunker once again. If the bunker stays down, this should be a good hold here for RAGNAROK. But look at this. There's a Reaper back behind this. He's going to start with these Marines. Once the Marines no longer find their overwhelming value, it's just going to become a Reaper push back behind this. This is ridiculous. So this is just going to continue to find more damage here. Additional Reapers in the production tab. Ling speed has already been started, so this eventually will be able to clean up, but RAGNAROK now has to use his queens to defend, and that is going to cause a bit of a challenge here for the Blue Zerg player while he waits for Ling speed to finish up. But he's got so much invested into Lings. How many Lings does he have right now? He's got 14! That's so many drones that have not been made at this point. RAGNAROK already doing his part. He is trying to scout. He is going to see the second base going down, so he knows that this is not going to be super all in, but he's continuing to build these Zerglings. In fact, 10 more go onto the production tab. I guess he's lost quite a few, but still, I mean, you know that your opponent is not going to continue with this forever, so getting drones would be such a valuable asset, even on just 2-base economy, because right now you don't have any major gas production. You still don't have full saturation on minerals in your main, but now metabolic boost is complete. They're going to try and get on top of these Reapers, but immediately the KD8 charges come down and will help zone the Zerglings away from the Reapers. So what does that leave back at home for BYUN? BYUN already has a third base just about done. RAGNAROK's going to get his third hatchery placed down on site. We're going to start seeing a normal game start shaping out here. What an interesting opening path here for both of our players. RAGNAROK, for the most part, you know, he loses 13 Lings, but he manages to hang on to the game, essentially. But BYUN's control there, I guess I didn't mention that. Only 2 Marines and an SAV gone. Not a single Reaper lost. Which means these Marines are going to be able to continue harassing, finding additional damage, making this very, very difficult for the blue Zerg player to try and steal back that map vision. Okay, RAGNAROK's going to be able to come in here. He does see 2 of those barracks. He does see the 2-1-1 taking shape back at home. And he will see the tech lab working away, which means it will be stim pack incoming. So all in all, standard paths of development here for both of our players. Now, it does look like BYUN wants to get a little funky with some Banshees here on the map. The first Banshee is going to pop out. We do see Banshee Cloak on the way as well. This is where those Reapers are going to get that extended value that I was talking about. Since they are not dealt with, that means that they can go clean up creep on the map. They're going to be able to move a little bit faster than the Marines otherwise would. I mean, this is all sorts of silly coming down the pipe. But look at this. We're going to get a lot of Hellions this time around. There's going to be an armory drop down with this? There isn't an armory already, is there? There is! There's an armory. This is going to be Hellbats. Oh, BYUN. BYUN, are you... is BYUN going to go into mech this time around? Are we going to see additional factory structures? No, it is going to be double engineering bay. But this Hellbat timing is going to be really, really comprehensive for BYUN. He's going to have Marines, he's going to have Reapers, he's going to have Hellbats, he's going to have a Banshee. He's got it all. And the award for most technology pieces in a game goes to our Red Terran player. who's going to push forward here, start working away on these armies. The Banelings are going to be able to pop at the top of the ramp, and that will create a bit of space for Ragnarok here. These queens are not going to go down just yet. They do have enough energy to be able to relay some creep. Ragnarok's going to take the base in the 12 o'clock position. And initially right now, BYUN is not going to be able to overpush his opponent. Ragnarok does lose a couple of those overlords to scouting, but that is a losable piece of ground. He is going to have Spire finishing up here. Mutas are going to be on the menu. And we're going to see more Biotank out of the red Terran player. Banelings are going to get in here. They're going to find a decent amount of damage here. Six workers for 4 Banes. It's not the most efficient trade we've ever seen in the world, but, you know, all in all, not a terrible exchange as well. All right, this tank's in a wonderful position here. This is a big reason why a lot of Zerg players actually don't take this as their third base location, because this ridge is just so insanely difficult to defend against. If you don't take down that mineral wall, you're easily going to get sieged upon from this location. I mean, even queens make it a difficult spot to play from, especially if you have your Marines in a good enough spot. So usually we see Zerg players take this as their third base, but it seems like Ragnarok going to try and expand southward on his situation now. The Mutas have already gotten a little bit of damage done here. That is going to start prompting missile turrets going up into various spots in the base here of BYUN. There is already a missile turret up at the natural and the main. It's just now going to be a stabilizing moment here for BYUN. BYUN is down on supply. Look at that. 151 to 128. The economic advantage very clearly into Ragnarok's favor as well. So this is starting to work out in a good way for our blue Zerg player. Ragnarok securing a little bit of a better position here. So all in all, seems like a good potential here for Ragnarok to start gaining a little bit of control. 169 to 136 is the overall supply count. These mutas are going to continue harassing. Back behind this, though, melee +1's going to be finishing up. Flyer attack +1's going to be finishing up. That means these mutas are going to get a little bit stronger. If this game goes on into the later stages, Corruptors are going to be a little bit more effective. Broodlords are going to be a bit more effective. So there is some good potential to move forward. +2 Carapace is already about halfway done. Just a little under. Needs a little bit more time in the oven. Ragnarok, though, getting greedy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a nice little zigzag of bases here, but holding his opponent back is going to be a pivotal piece of trying to capitalize on this greed. All these mutas continue to find more and more damage. I love the Contaminate here going down onto the engineering bay. But BYUN is going to be able to spot that these bases are going down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Again, if Ragnarok can capitalize on his income advantage, he could find a better way into this game. Also, worth noting, look at this creep spread. This creep spread is so much better here in game number 5 than it has been in the 4 previous maps combined. But BYUN not down and out of it just yet. It is going to be mine production and Thor production on the way, which will be a good way to deal with this, especially if these muta numbers continue to climb. It seems like right now they have kind of stabilized. It's going to be mostly Ling Bane in the production tab right now, and I think this muta ball will just only replenish what he loses. We do have a Hive finishing up +2 flyer attack on the way, +2 melee incoming as well. But I think Ragnarok's going to have to find an additional way to transfer through this game, as Thors are going to continue becoming a part of the army. Widow Mines are also going to be a very scary part to try and deal with as well. which creates kind of an interesting scenario here for Ragnarok. The army count, much more favored into BYUN's category, especially since a lot of his army is very super effective against the army of Ragnarok. But right now, Ragnarok not going to let that dull his sparkle. He is going to continue rotating around, applying pressure in a bunch of different locations. He's like, wait, I've seen Terran players do this, and it's really good. So why wouldn't I want to do that to my opponent as well? Concussive shells on the way. Concussive shells. Oh, I mean, this is almost the perfect. It's almost too perfect here. Concussive shell's going to go down. The Ultralisk Cavern being morphed in as well. Oh, I mean, we're going to have everything. This could be like the Walmart of games. You walk in, and you're just going to find anything you want. You want Muta harassment? You got it. You want Biotank? You betcha. Hellbats? Of course we've got that in high supply. Okay, well, this Bioforce is going to get caught out. There's no Medivacs to lift those up and away, so that is just sayonara for those Bioforces here. If we look at the units lost tab and we try and take a little bit of stock here, it's rather close. I mean, yes, the mineral count is a little bit lower for Ragnarok, but you always want to try and trade as effectively as possible, and if you can stay close, this is a good thing. But Banelings are going to come crashing on in here. They do pop that planetary fortress. 4 workers do end up going down. It's not the entire worker line, and that is a good start here for Ragnarok. Notice Ragnarok sacrifices those Banelings and immediately remaxes his supply. He has a decent base here. A little bit of a punishing response, though, grabbing some of those Banelings in retreat. BYUN making the most out of this Bioforce. But now this is going to be the 12 o'clock base. That is rather exposed. He's just going to have to toss that base away. He doesn't have a choice. But anyways, like I said, we're going to take stock here as we go along. As long as the... Oh, so many of those mines. How am I going to be able to take stock of what's happening here? It's constant action. I'm going to try it right now. As long as Ragnarok can stay within like 3,000 to 4,000 resources lost here against his opponent, that is the expected trade value between Zerg and Terran. Terran's always going to trade much more efficiently. That's just an understanding. But we do have Ultralisk out. Things are slowly starting to take shape. We do have Hydras. Yeah, this is literally going to be like the Walmart, the Costco. Oh, we're going to do anything you want as soon as you want it. Now we do see Ghost. The Ghost Academy has been finished up. There might be nukes. Oh, nukes in this map? Wouldn't that just be just a stylish way to play? Ragnarok's going to put so much pressure onto this 4th base location. He's coming in here once again. There's plenty of tanks, though, and Thors, and those are going to trade really, really well against Ultras. Will the Ultras find enough value to make things worthwhile? They are going to pick off a Thor, but one Ultra's going to have to waddle his way out. He's going to go back home and tell the rest of the brood, wait, there was so much there. So much destruction. Okay, Lurker Den going to come out. Additional Ultras on the rebound. Ghosts are going to probably make Ultras less effective as we go through this game, but Ragnarok is so focused on this base. He's going to swing on in here once again, trying to pick off a command center, but look at so many of those snipes coming down from the Ghosts. This is a very siegeable position here up on the top as well. I mean, the rocks providing some good cover, but I imagine Ragnarok's going to try and work those down at some point. BYUN does have a nice little wall here on the south side. This base is going to get picked up and lifted off as the mutas are going to start laying a little bit of fire onto that orbital command. But look at this, setting up another run by. There are mines in place, though. The mines could very easily pop on top of those Banelings, but right now, dragging a little bit of the response here. One mine does get on top of the Baneling pile there on the left, but now a Thor is going to get picked off here, and Banelings will find their way into the Ghost. 10 workers have gone down, and once again, this base does get picked up, and the economic advantage does get secured here. Look at this, 25.50 per minute advantage for Ragnarok. Ragnarok is trading inefficiently, but once again, if you're able to leverage the economic advantage as a Zerg player, you should be just fine, and there's going to be Nidus networks. Oh, I'm getting chills. I'm getting nerd chills, Tasteless. All right, this base tries to get taken once again. BYUN going to scan on forward and notices that this army is going to come contest it once again. There is just no options here for BYUN to try and get up to this base. RAGNAROK knows where he needs to put on additional pressure. He doesn't have to worry about the south side of the map. It's covered in creep. So he'll know the moment that BYUN tries to go and take that position. Ultimately, things are going to continue shaping up here. We do get additional snipes going down on those ultras, and I imagine that we're going to start seeing less and less ultras as the game goes along. The ghost count is getting rather high. 15 ghosts. Ah, so many snipes. That's so many dead ultras. The ultra count, though, is helping with leveraging these positions here, because the Lings are going to be able to get on in, and the ghosts cannot just free fire onto the ultras, because they have to be very, very concerned with what's happening. There's going to be a Nidus Worm that goes down. Will that be able to populate? Not quite yet, but again, that is going to allow RAGNAROK the opportunity to keep some pressure up on this high side base. BYUN going to put down some protection here, but the double Nidus is going to start working to his favor. BYUN's going to now have to choose, and he's got to choose in a bunch of different locations. Ghosts. Ghosts are going to be on the opposite side of this base exchange, but now lurkers are going to start working away at the natural. That's going to be dead workers gone. That means these mutas are going to find more damage. These upgrade buildings are going to be taken care of, but the engineering bays are no longer necessary, essentially. Adaptive talons are now complete. If they wanted to retreat out of that Nidus Worm, they absolutely could, but RAGNAROK's going to try and put on pressure elsewhere. Banelings are going to find good forces on the high side. How many ghosts have been lost so far? 2 so far. I mean, these lurkers are trying to do everything in their power to create some pressure, but I think the ghosts are going to be able to push this off into the long term. We do have the Infestor upgrade. I mean, we're literally going for every possible upgrade here on the Zerg player side of the map. Personal cloaking device going to be brought in. Ghosts can have the potential for possible nukes. I mean, if we see a Greater Spire go down here for RAGNAROK, that would be a scary, scary thing. I swear I didn't plan that. I swear I didn't plan that out. I'm having like PTSD here of Solar Maru nuking all of the Broodlords of Solar's army. Oh. No, I can't do that again. I can't relive that horrible nightmare once again. BYUN has just evacuated this base, by the way. He's evacuated his natural. He's decided that that base is no longer useful to me. I really need to be able to start mining here in the top right-hand corner. But lurkers are going to start forcing the issue here at the front ramp. Where are the ghosts? The ghosts are on the high side here. They are still trying to snipe away. It does make things a bit more complicating, though, when those lurkers are going to start zoning everything out of the main and natural base here as we start to enter the 21-minute mark. RAGNAROK is also not done. He's going to get additional units going here. Looks like it's going to be Zerglings populating these Nidus Worms, so Zerglings into the main base will make this a very difficult thing to deal with, especially since those are adrenal Lings. Look at them just nom through those tanks. Well, I mean, it didn't quite go down. Oh, look at this. BYUN trying to take bases here in the top right. But not only is there a Nidus Worm forming in here, there's a Zergling burrowed as well. That's making things very, very difficult. BYUN is having such a difficult time. Look at this income advantage. 3,300. And it's been that way for the past 10 minutes. No wonder RAGNAROK has been able to own the entirety of the map. This is not a trade that you would expect to say, yeah, you know, the Zerg player's doing a really good job here. I mean, this is what you look at and you go, oh, that's why the Zerg player is going to tap out here in just a couple of minutes. But RAGNAROK able to continue leveraging a 95 to 53 worker advantage. He has just about every tech in the playbook. He can pivot, he can rotate, he has a bank. He's going to be able to push on forward here. Baneling's trying to find those ghosts any possible way they can. Hydraling Bane still not the best overall outcome. Having some infestors, though, would be a wonderful addition to this. About the biggest thing that RAGNAROK lacks is gas in this moment. He is mining just as much as he possibly can, but once again, when you are trying to flip-flop between so much tech, it just becomes very, very difficult to get that gas bank up. But again, Zerglings will continue to be able to work things away. There's a nice little run by here on the south side of the map. And this is just, again, continued rotation back and forth. And the wall actually does fall for a brief amount of time, but 2 tanks is going to be enough alongside Marine support. Oh, that Zergling finally gets picked off. This base for BYUN. BYUN's like, yes, I can finally breathe. Let's mine a little bit of minerals. Let's mine some gas. Let's get back into this game. Let's wrestle back this 3750 income advantage away from my opponent. So it's more lurkers. The investors, they're burrowed. They're ready to go. Can BYUN see them? He sees the movement, but will he know? The first one pops up and it does not find anything here. Ghosts are gonna get fungled. That means they cannot be cloaked. That means they're gonna be slow, but the Banelings will not find their targets just yet. Banelings running off to the left-hand side here, not quite getting where they need to be, but this is gonna be yet another base that gets cleared up. The Banelings do get burrowed. Just on the off chance that the ghosts don't look forward ahead, but a good scan will be able to clear those up. 23 workers is the cost, though. The order of commands are going to get damaged as well, but continued snipes will make this a worsening situation for RAGNAROK. But once again, RAGNAROK continues to hold the economic advantage. He's just killed 23 more workers, 95 to 30. Mules are good. The mules aren't nearly that good. Not even close. We're approaching the 25-minute mark here, and it seems like RAGNAROK is still doing everything he possibly needs to keep this under wraps for himself. Mines are going to continue protecting on the high side here from these Zergling run-bys, but there's no armory anymore. I hadn't thought about that. There's no armory. That means these mines are going to be exposed once they shoot their shot. Okay, an interesting piece of development here. Okay, more Zerglings on the bottom side. They're going to use Burrow to try and keep themselves hidden. Oh, we're going to try making a transition here into Broodlords. Against Ghosts? Broodlord Lingbane with a proper queen support could be an option. There's 8 queens. It looks like, yeah, the queens are all going to get pulled here. There are infestors. This is this going to be Broodlord Infestor? What? Did we all just hop into a time machine? What year is it? RAGNAROK gonna dig deep into the heart of the Swarm meta and go, wait a minute. I remember that this is an OP build. Will it work against BYUN, though? We do start seeing those Broodlords coming in here. The creep is finally getting pushed back here by BYUN. These bottom 2 bases have been cleared, so that means that BYUN should be able to start maneuvering towards those bases, and he absolutely needs to... He needs to get that done, because right now he's got 1 mineral... He's just got 1 mineral line that he's mining from. Oh, this is just a wild back and forth. Okay, we'll try and secure a second base here on the high side. Both players still effectively maxed out, but look at this. BYUN has no bank. He is broke. He's broke as a joke. He needs that stimulus check coming from the U.S. government. Right now, he should be able to start getting orbital command in the top right. And now we are going to start seeing this slow push forward here. The Spore Crawlers are going to be able to spot for those Ghosts. Ghosts are going to start getting whittled away as well. The Infestors starting to use their fungal growth to clean things off. And now this is starting to become an interesting push here for Ragnarok. He is going to be able to start working his way forward. Once again, the Ghosts are about the only thing holding this army together. Some very good EMPs could be a possible part of this army. And as we say that, Ghost Academy starts bringing advanced shockwaves into the ether here, so that will give a better opportunity to clean some of the energy off of these queens, off of these infestors. Base in the south side could be a problem as well, but it looks like Ragnarok's going to go try and deal with that with as little investment as humanly possible. Broodlords continue working their way forward. Infestors have to be very, very careful. A good fungal growth does go down on the bio, but it's the wrong part of the bio. The Ghosts need to be the overwhelming target. But right now, those Broodlords are able to continue working their way forward. That's a huge fungal onto almost all of those Ghosts here. The tank on the high ground needs to be the next target. That is going to go down here. Liberators will start working away at the units on the ground, but there are Corruptors in this mix, and that will keep things going. And now the Lings and Banes are going to come pouring on forward. Ragnarok is trying to seize an opportunity here. He's maxed out. His opponent, 158. Has Ragnarok done it? Has he sweat his opponent out here into this 28-minute game? All of these units barreled into the back, but there are plenty of medevacs, and they're just going to pick up and leave. They can't afford to fight here any longer lest they get cornered by these Banelings. The Banelings come rolling on forward. That's going to be a dead orbital command, and the Broodlords are still in the sky. 9 Broodlords remain as they continue to shower the Terran army with these Broodlings. Here come the Banelings onto the Bioforce. The Ghosts are still in the very far back here. 14 SCVs remain. Can these Banelings find their target? They're going to find a little bit, though. That's going to be very good here. How many Ghosts are actually left in this army? There's only 7. That's not going to be enough to slow this down. 199 to 78. Ragnarok, has he finally done it? Has he secured a win? BYUN taps out. Ragnarok, Ragnarok. The crowd goes wild, and he secures 1 map in this 7-map series. We move on to game number 6 to see if he can secure any more. Game number 6 is on Oxide, and Ragnarok has got to be breathing a sigh of relief. Oh, he's not going to get 7-0'd. He's going to be able to secure at least 1 win. So at worst, he's going to walk away with a 1-6 record, as all 7 games do get played here. Yeah, don't mind the best of 7. It's 7 games in total for this OlimoLeague Invitational. But that means Ragnarok has to find a way to get to crafty here in these final 2 games. And I can imagine that BYUN is going to be looking for a possible way to just clean up these final 2 games. And on Oxide, I think BYUN's got a lot of options here. He can easily just dig back into his wealth of choices. It seems as if, though, we're just going to get 1-1-1. Well, that's not super crazy. Oh, oh, Crank's tired. He's tired of having to translate balance wine. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff happening here for our wonderful Korean players. Also, big shout out to Crank. We've been seeing this with a couple of the different events lately, where the Korean translators that are there for events do hop into the games and have been able to interpret what's happening in the in-game chat. So a big shout out to Crank, Brian, as well as another person that we work with here at Alpha X. We're very, very grateful for all the work that they do in the scene, helping connect different parts of the world together. All right, Ragnarok is going to come in here. He is going to see the incoming barracks with a reactor. But the number of Marines there should have been a pretty strong indicator that this isn't an overwhelming barracks force. It is just going to be 1-1-1. There is going to be a Cloak Banshee coming out of the starport, and Ragnarok back behind it is just going to choose to drone up. He should feel pretty confident at this point. Getting his 3 base economy is going to be very, very important. All things considered. But 5 Marines. I'm not going to lie. 5 Marines from BYUN is still rather scary here. No additional upgrades. In fact, we don't even see any other barracks being produced. So no follow-up tech for bio. Are we going to get our mech game? We're going to finally see mech? We might. It's an armory going down here in the back ranks of the natural. Okay. I mean, we don't usually see this that often. I mean, this Bioforce isn't really actually that scary. I mean, we do see stim now. But I can't actually believe. Okay, yeah, it's going to be mech. Okay, third base is going to go down here, but the factory is going to be pumping out Hellions. We have additional Banshees coming out. The armory's coming down. There's no engineering base. I think this is going to be a nice bit of mech play, but he's going to have to deal with the bio here up front. There are going to be Banelings as a part of this defense, and especially against non-stim pack. Oh yeah, he actually even canceled stim, so it was a fake. Yeah, there go the factories. We're gonna get mech. Really? Okay. Well, this is what Ragnarok wanted. Ragnarok was asking game number 2 if we were gonna get to any mech games for the viewers, and it seems to be what's gonna happen here. As many of those shots as humanly possible. The Banelings do all get picked off, but since those Marines don't have stim, not really that important. But 7 workers did end up going down as a result. Where did those go down at? It looks like it was here in the natural. Must have been the Banshees. Where did those Banshees go? Ah, yes. There we go. 9 kills on that one Banshee alone. Okay, so this is now going to be kind of an interesting position to try and play from. It's going to be Thor production coming out of these factories right now for BYUN. So getting into Mutiling Bane could be a rough choice. We're going to have to see if BYUN is able to spot that. He should see these 3 Banshees and notice that something's got to be a little bit funky here. He is still going to go for a Spire, though. I mean, Mutiling Bane is... If he wants to commit into the Banshees, like, sure, long-term, that ends up being a possible good choice here, because the Mutas obviously will infinitely trade with the Banshees forever. So going up against Thors, going up against Blue Flame Hellions, +1 Blue Flame Hellions. There's going to be Cyclones as well, so Battle Mech. It's just a potpourri of mech right now. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how this continues to transform. Oh, that is a lot. There's a lot of units here. There's a lot of scary units, and Zerglings are not going to trade very effectively, especially only +1 Carapace-lings. Oh, this is a rough moment here. These Thors are going to get a lot of damage done. The Queens are going to try and do as much as they possibly can. Here come the Banelings onto those Hellions, but the Hellions are able to just drive on backwards. Right now, this is kind of a weird back and forth. Hellbats are on the menu now here as they are going to push on into the main of this third. Ugh. Workers are starting to go down. The mutas have arrived, but mutas are never going to trade very effectively against these Thors. 11 roaches are on the production tab, but can Ragnarok keep this worker count alive? He's struggling right now. Oh, there's mules to be brought in to repair these Thors. Oh no, I don't know if we'd call those manor mules, but definitely not what you want to see if you're Ragnarok, as that's going to be additional life out of these Thors. Here finally come the roaches, though. The roaches are going to be able to trade a little bit better with this army, but he needs a way more overwhelming force of roaches if he's going to be able to attack all of this down, especially since this Thor is just practically been built all the way back up from the ground up. Yeah, it's 100% healed. Oh, there goes the third base. That third base is now officially gone. How many of these workers have been killed off as well? 15 in total. All things considered for the push, I mean, that's only like 6 or 7 drones for the push itself. So essentially, I mean, it's the worst kind of hold, right? He's able to repopulate his army here. They are even on army supply, but it's the income advantage that BYUN wrestles back that makes this the worst kind of hold, because he loses a base here. He has to transfer workers, at least the workers he was able to salvage, over to this base. And now Ragnarok is forced into a position where he has to play from behind. He's behind a lot, worker count-wise, 77 to 63. He is trying to close that gap, but every drone he makes is a roach or a ravager that he's not able to make. So this is kind of a tricky, precarious spot for Ragnarok to be in. His creep spread is basically non-existent. He's got his 3 bases, and that's about it. I mean, there's no presence out on the map at this point, and that's what you give up when you go Roach Ravager, is you don't have as clear of a presence on the map. You're not going to be able to see this battle mech incoming. Meanwhile, back behind it, BYUN is going to finish up Magfield Accelerator. Smart Servos is underway, as well as +2. Which just continues to push things further and further forward for the blue Terran player. BYUN's in a position here where he should be able to bully this army. I don't know. Oh yeah, look at all that blue Flame Hellion getting work done. Those Zerglings don't stand a chance. Ravager Biles will just do enough to push this back. Ragnarok's going to try and get a scout off, but I don't know what he's going to see that he doesn't already know about. 4th base is already fully saturated as well. It's going from bad to worse here for our red Zerg player, who's looking to try and secure any more maps in this 7 series. Additional roaches on the production tab. He's got to save his gas, though. Right now, he doesn't have the gas production that he needs to be able to get more Ravagers. Roaches are nice, but it's the Ravagers that he needs at this point. He almost needs to switch into Ravager Ling Bane. Ling Bane to deal with this battle mech, and the Ravagers to help deal with the tanks. Here he comes on the right-hand side, trying to find a little bit of a recovery, but this is just going to get completely shredded apart. None of the tanks, I think 1 tank went down. 1 tank went down. The battle mech here on the front side is still finding tons and tons of damage. Losing this base is a non-negotiable at this point, but the tanks are going to rotate forward here, and now they're all going to be in range of these Ravagers with no roaches or lings to body block. Those Ravagers are not going to last very long. Game number 6 goes back to the blue Terran player as we approach our final map in this 7 maps played series. And here we are, game number 7 between Ragnarok and BYUN. BYUN finding success in game number 6, and now the question just begs to be asked if Ragnarok will be able to secure one more win in this 7 map series. Of course, the banter going back and forth one more time between these two. I think BYUN is threatening to play a little bit more mech here. I mean, giving Ragnarok exactly what he asked for. It's like, well, you said you wanted this. This is what you wanted. For the viewers, right? But we will just have to keep an eye on what ends up taking place in this final game here. It is going to be on Light Shade. This is not a super cheeky map, so we did miss out on Beckett Industries. I think they swapped out Beckett Industries for the GSL map Oblivion. Which, you know what? Totally fine. I think Beckett Industries would have ended up being a really, really fast map that I shouldn't say isn't representative of what the players are capable of, but I mean, who didn't love the 30-minute slugfest between BYUN and Ragnarok on Romanticide, right? Appears to be another 1-1-1. Okay, it was going to be a fast third command center. So this is going to be about as standard gets here for Terran openings. I think both players are just going to rock their way forward here. Okay, third base going to come down here at the triangle location for Ragnarok rather than what we would maybe call like the standard third base location. Oh no. Crank's obviously putting in a lot of good work here to keep this. Oh. Oh. Now we're not only going to get banter from the players, but we're also going to get it from the person working and in charge. Hilarious. Okay, so nice little bit of a Hellion harass here. Once again, it's pretty stock standard for ZVT. We might actually get, out of all 7 games, this might be the most normal looking game that we have between these two players. So we do have Stimpack on the way. There is going to be enough to deal with any potential Banshee play that comes in here, as we do have 3 Spore Crawlers going down. Double Evolution Chamber being brought in as well, so wouldn't be surprised to see this move into 1-1 melee and Carapace. It just is a matter of whether or not BYUN wants to actually go into mech or bio this time around, but it seems like with the engineering bay at the front wall, double engineering bay rather, it seems we will be getting more bio play. Yeah, there goes the 1-1 alongside that stim pack as well. So Ragnarok also going to respond in similar accord. +1 melee, +1 Carapace. Viking is on patrol here, trying to eliminate some of the overlords from the sky. And again, we're just getting something that looks really, really super calm, super adjusted. Third base is going to come out here for BYUN at a pretty respectable time. The fourth base goes at the 12 o'clock position. And this just continues to wind its way forward. Okay, the creep spread is going to be a lot more confident this time around here for Ragnarok, but BYUN honestly has not done a whole lot of harassment either. I think this is going to be the first moment of real aggression outside of the Hellions, just kind of poking and prodding at that third base location. In fact, did they even get that much? Yeah, a little bit. 4 worker kills, it's not insignificant. Lingbane's going to be able to meet this at the front door. mine, though. Good mind control here by BYUN. Whoa! That pickup was so fast! Both those mines not only didn't waste their shot on one Zergling alone, but they both got picked up and evacuated. Some very crazy control by BYUN. I mean, crazy for us, not crazy for him. Okay, Hydroling Bane going to be the composition of choice. And there was a time where this was like a really, really strong build, but I think it lost a little bit of its teeth after the nerf on Hydra health. I think 2018, that was like the recommended build for most players, was to run Hydroling Bane in its entirety in ZVT. And kind of every matchup, except for ZVZ. No Baneling speed means that these Banelings are not going to be able to position themselves against this bio, because on creep that would have been a stellar engagement. But instead, BYUN is going to be able to cancel that base at the 9 o'clock position and then just push on forward. They're going to put some pressure down onto this Hydra Den. This is going to be a dead Hydra Den in its entirety. That means Group Spines is going to be canceled. That means Hydra production is going to be halted here. It's going to be just additional Lings and Banes at this point. Oh, what a great snipe here by BYUN. He's going to be able to pick up and get away with it as well, knowing that there aren't going to be that many Hydras. Oh, that was actually a really big mine shot. How many kills did that mine get? We will never know. There will be a mystery that will haunt our dreams forever. So third base here is just going to continue to be pushing out more and more units. Now we do see that Baneling speed is done, so these are going to trade a little bit better. Oh, so many mines. Oh, the mine shots are just getting those Baneling connections like crazy. BYUN's target fire is just incredible here. Additional Lings and Banes on the production tab. Finally, more and more Hydras are getting added in, but it's just 2 right now and 1 in the production tab, so not nearly as many as RAGNAROK was probably hoping at this point in the game, especially since their upgrades are going to be delayed by a significant amount as well. It's almost as if RAGNAROK should have just sacrificed some resources to get an additional Hydra Den, so that way he could pump out both of those upgrades a little bit quicker, because right now it's slow Hydras with not a lot of range. Group Spines will be able to fix that, so the range problem will be taken care of, but there's that pesky issue of being able to draw the ire of his opponent. Ooh, that was a lot of Baneling connections there. Okay. BYUN focused on the high side of the map. Unfortunately, even the best Terran players can only be in one place at a time. Lurker Den's going to go down as the follow-up here. Now, RAGNAROK is trying to go into the same path that he did in game number 5, where he was able to limit BYUN's economic advantage. And so far, RAGNAROK is doing an okay job of that. Oh, this one of mine's already got 12 kills and they haven't been spotted yet. They're going to find more. Give it to us. Give us the content. Give it to us! Yes! Oh, amazing. Just absolutely amazing stuff here. RAGNAROK gets his own Baneling bust here in secret. I mean, this Widowmine still found 12 kills, and it's possible that it might find more. Oh yeah, there it goes. 6 more Zerglings do get picked off. But I don't think RAGNAROK is finding the same level of success here that he did in game number 5. He's not able to control as much of the flow of the game this time around as he did in the previous series. But Hive is on the way. BYUN does have his 4th base saturated and secured. He actually has an armory out at it as well. looking to get that 5th base going. Is that going to be floating in? Yeah, so not being built on site. It is ready to rock and roll. Hey, Lurkerling Bane. Not a horrible choice here. Needs to find a way to gain some positional advantages to maximize what's happening here. +1 vehicle weapons getting finished up, so now these mines are going to be a little bit stronger. Just snapping on top of all of these Banelings. Oh, I think he had enough. Oh, that was a scary moment here for RAGNAROK. He didn't have vision far enough forward to know that he was going to be able to wrap around that, but I think he would have lost a lot of Banelings as a result of it. Again, BYUN's target fire control, so very strong in this game. Well, just in the series in general. Okay, both of those lurker upgrades finally coming to pass. Okay, Vipers as well, though. Okay, so we're getting some good late game tech going here. Spire's going to come down as well as +3 Carapace. We get additional lurker upgrades, so Lurker Viper will be a useful composition piece to add into this element. Tank on the high ground is going to provide some nice overwatch, but this will be a nice little run by here. The Lings are going to be able to surround those ghosts here. Oh, oh, excuse me? Hello? Lings? Okay, they do get back on top of the queens. Or on top of the ghosts, rather. How do I keep saying queens? I mean, a lot of them are ladies. They're like queens. It's more like the Yas queen kind, not the like, where are they? There's one. Found her. Oh, we've got a Greater Spire on the way again. We've got pathogen glands being brought in. Oh, it's just once again a potpourri of Zerg forces. So it seems like RAGNAROK is trying to go into what won him game number 5. But again, a big component of that was holding BYUN down to 4 bases at most. And with that 5th base already secured, there are additional command centers that are going to be coming out. I think this is going to be a little bit more difficult for him to try and maneuver. But Vipers are a part of this, and that was not the case in the previous game. So Viper's going to come in on the right-hand side. They're looking for those tanks. They are going to get cleaned up, so using their energy for good, not evil. Tanks are going to be able to be popped, but using Banelings to try and take down those tanks, that's a scary position to try and play from here. Is the siege position going to be broken, though? Yes, absolutely. All of the tanks go down. One tank on the low ground was enough to be able to hold this back. But once again, the scary force is those ghost counts. 13, 14 are on the map right now. There are additional corruptors being brought in here, more Lings and more Banes, more units in general. Infestors are going to be a part of this. Oh, it looks like he wants to go for the same thing here. Brood Lord Infestor won him the game in game number 5. I feel like, once again, the tides are maybe a little bit different here in this game. There are additional bases here for BYUN. BYUN's going to be able to secure these bases in the top right. It's a divided map. I mean, RAGNAROK is short 1 base here at this forward location on the bottom left-hand side. But for the most part, it's all looking pretty good and confident for BYUN. He's got drilling claws incoming, +3 vehicle armor is just about to finish up here soon, +3 vehicle weapons incoming. Those tanks are going to be incredibly beefy. We're going to get additional planetary fortresses coming up. This base is finally going to get taken. The creep's been pushed far enough forward. Yeah, now we're going to start seeing this army slow push on the bottom side of the map. There is a Bioforce here on the high side. Okay, this has got a pretty decent amount here. Spine Crawlers are going to be able to help with that alongside Lurkers. A good Fungal Growth does go down onto the Ghost here. The second follow-up, not as good, but BYUN is saying, wait a minute, I recognize this position. Is this going to be the kind of push that Ragnarok wants it to be? I think right now it's possible. Those Banelings trying to find those ghosts. Are they going to be able to pop on top of them? They do a little bit here, but it's not an overwhelming amount. Not enough to really say you secured that position because the armies are still rather close together. Not a big investment here from BYUN, but for Ragnarok, there's a lot of snipes being brought down onto his units here. The ghost count is still relatively high, 12 in total. And they just continue to get picked off here. And as Ragnarok loses more and more of those, a nuke is going to start up behind this. Oh no. BYUN, he saw Solar Maru. If this game continues to go on, we have the opportunity to see the same kind of horror happen. But there's no more gas on these infestors. There's one, maybe two fungals left to go. These Liberators have gotten so many kills here. This Viper actually filling up its energy right there at the very end. Does get a Parasitic Bomb off in the final seconds of its life. Corruptor's trying to clean up as many of these medevacs as humanly possible. That's about the best situation that I think he can hope for, but without additional gas, without additional energy here, Ragnarok is going to have to tap out, and BYUN finishes up this 7-game series, a 6-1 win record for BYUN.